Hi everyone! I'm so excited to share today's video with you. Around the time of having filmed this video, I had made a new friend in real life here in Thailand. Not a friend I could call up and do things with, but a new friend nonetheless. Anyway, while we were getting to know each other, the topic of hobbies came up. I mentioned that I paint, and they mentioned that they used to paint with acrylics and had always been interested in watercolor. I thought it would be a good chance for me to spread some watercolor awareness. You have no idea how so excited I was. They did mention they don't really have time for hobbies and don't even know if they'll like painting with watercolor, which is fine. I asked if I could make them a small set, to which they agreed. Yay! So I filmed the whole process, and I'd love for you to follow along while I pick and choose for them paint, brushes, and paper. As much as I'd like to share all the fun colors and pigments with them, I think 24 colors for a beginner can sometimes be overkill. Less is more. So we're going with a 12 color palette. My friend said their favorite color is blue, so I thought I'd go with this blue fireworks palette. And then, of course, can't forget, empty half pans. Upon checking the condition of the palette, it seems like it's slightly dirty, so I had to clean it up a little bit with a damp paper towel. Some of you might wonder why I don't just buy a brand new palette for them. Well, I think I have plenty to share, and I personally wouldn't mind something of this condition if it were given to me, especially when I don't know if I'll seriously get into the hobby itself. Here is my humongous collection of watercolor tubes. I can't believe I started out with 8 old tubes of Sennelier back in 2020, and just after 5 years, I've amassed so many tubes! I had reorganized these some time back at the time of writing this script. I don't know if I'll have posted my video on rearranging my tubes or not, so if I have, I'll leave a link below. If not, you can look forward to that in the future. Anyway, I'm here just picking and choosing here and there, going by group color, and then putting them on the palette there so I know which ones I've chosen. I've sort of used my signature palette of 12 colors as a starting point of reference, adjusting a little bit here and there. For those who don't know what that is, you can check out my video where I explained my choices. I'll link that below as well. Always don't forget to label your empty watercolor pans first. I actually almost filled the pans first, but thankfully I was paying attention and stopped myself just in time. I always label my pans first because after squeezing paint into them, it'll take at least a week to cure. And by then, I might not remember what went into each pan. Alright, there's all 12 pans labeled. Now to put them into the rack. I sometimes get questions from beginners why their pans are loose or making sounds. You just need to make sure to bend the metal slats down so they will essentially squeeze and hold the pans in place when you snap the pans onto the rack. Sometimes if they're still loose, just take the pan out and readjust. I like arranging my palettes in rainbow order, followed by earth colors, so here we go. The first color is our cool red, Van Gogh's Quin Rose PV19. I normally like a Quin Magenta PR122 in this spot, but I chose Van Gogh's Quin Rose because it's not a warm PV19, but it's more blue-leaning like Daniel Smith's Quin Rose, which is closer in hue to PR122s anyway. Our second color is what will be our warm red, Holbein's Vermilion Hue, made with 3 pigments, PO73, PR254, and PY110. My friend doesn't know anything about pigments yet, so I wasn't too concerned giving them multi-pigmented colors. I mainly chose according to what they would visually see on the paper. Next is Holbein Lemon Yellow, made with PY3 and PW6. Normally, I have just one single Nickel Azo Yellow PY150 in my signature palette, but for a beginner, I thought having this as a cool yellow would be nice for learning color mixing, which means we can't not have a warm yellow, in which I chose Van Gogh's Indian Yellow, made with PY83. Oh no, I'm just realizing now that as I'm typing up the script that I need to like switch the pans. Ah, what was I thinking? Well, clearly I wasn't thinking. And then for our convenience green, I chose Shinhan's Sap Green made with PG8. Yes, I'm aware it's a fugitive pigment, but light fastness isn't particularly important at this stage. And of course, we can't forget Phthalo Green PG7. This one is from Wititrong, a local Thai brand. It's quite the garish color on its own, but it's still a great mixer. Alright, it seems like I filled these pans in a weird order, so please bear with me. Here is Holbein's Ivory Black PBK9. Personally, I like to mix my own blacks, but for beginners, I think it's just reassuring to have a black on hand. Then, Van Gogh's Burnt Umber, made with PBR7. I know, a lot of you might prefer a burnt sienna, but I did ask my friend for some preferences, and it seemed like they were more partial to this hue of brown. And then here's Holbein's Yellow Ochre, made with PY42. Just a nice standard yellow earth. And now our last three colors. For our standard warm blue, Wititrong's Ultramarine Blue made with PB29. Even for a beginner, I think it's important to have a proper artist grade ultramarine blue. And for our cool blue, Wititrong's Phthalo Blue PB15:3, so that's green shade. I'm sure you all know I prefer PB16 Phthalo Turquoise, but I wanted to keep this palette pretty generic for starters. Last but not least, White Knight's Cobalt Turquoise made with PB28. It's like that cobalt teal cyan type of color. Quite an atypical choice for a beginner palette, but I chose this one because my friend likes this color, and I think they'd be intrigued by the various mixes it can create. And there we have it! All 12 colors in their pans. Now for a little stirry action. Some of you may think this isn't an important step, but I'd like to say that it is very important. Sometimes the binder separates in paint tubes, so stirring the paint like this before leaving them to cure will make sure everything is nicely reintegrated and reincorporated with one another, and will decrease gaps inside the pan once fully cured. I know some of you like to watch this step, so I'll put some music up and you can watch that yourselves. Those who don't care can scroll forward until I'm done stirring to continue on the rest of the video. Now that we're done with the paint, let's move on to brushes. I contemplated giving them a whole set of fumui brushes, but my friend emphasized that they don't want a lot. And I can understand how having a lot can be more overwhelming than fun. So instead, I opted to go with these two travel brushes that fit nicely in the palette, making it a great portable travel palette set. The black one is a small round sable brush from Fumui that I think would be great for painting details. And the silver one is a small quill brush from Golden Maple. It might be small, but it holds a lot of water and would be excellent for larger washes. I have reviews for both of these already, so I'll have those linked below as well should anyone be interested. At this point, I figured I've just created a travel kit, so I might as well embrace it and go all out. I have a small collection of pouches, so I took one of my new unused ones, again, blue because my friend likes blue. I wanted to include an A-size sketchbook, but I didn't have any that would fit into the pouch at this time. So for the purpose of this video, this Jackson's Studio Sketchbook in A6 size will be the placeholder. Just for the time being, I'll get my friend one of these pads in the A5 size instead. It's by Canson and it's available at almost every art or stationery store here in Thailand. So if my friend needs more paper, they can get it locally. Last but not least, I'm throwing in my cute pin from back when I did my collab with GSJJ. And there we have it! This was such a fun project! I hope my friend likes it. I mean, liking it is one thing, but I hope they'll enjoy watercolor. I've already told them that I'm happy to be their go-to watercolor info person and that I have plenty to share. I don't know how deep they'll get into watercolor, but if they do, I will surely document it and update you guys. I hope you also had fun watching me put together this little kit. I sure had fun myself. Please comment below if any of you have done something like this before for a friend or a family member maybe, or if you've received a kit from a friend or a family member, what were your thoughts and feelings? And if you haven't and want to put together a kit for someone, what is one thing you think you must include for them? For me, I think I'd certainly include a quill brush because that's just where my love is. Anyway, that's it for today. As always, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Don't forget to drink lots of water and stay hydrated.